Well, it is a real honor to be here with all of you today. This is a very special moment for Staten Island, a very special moment for all of New York City. We're going to bestow an honor in the name of someone who is so worthy and speaks to all that we value here in this city and certainly in this borough. Make an important announcement, but before I do, I just want to thank, besides those you're going to hear from in just a moment, I want to thank our Transportation Commissioner, Polly Trottenberg, and our Commissioner of the Mayor's Office for Veteran Affairs, General Lori Sutton. And I also would like to take a moment to thank the Chief Operations Officer for the Staten Island Ferry, Captain Jim DeSimone. Thank you all. There, I think I can safely say, is nothing more important in the day-to-day life of this good borough than the Staten Island Ferry, symbol of the borough, a lifeline for this borough. And we were very proud in the last year to finally achieve something that's been a goal of people in Staten Island for a long time, true 24/7 service on the Staten Island Ferry. We also knew it was important to upgrade the fleet. And so with our latest budget, we announced that it will now be 3 new ferry vessels, replacing the 3 oldest boats that are many decades old. We wanted to get a much more modern fleet for the Staten Island Ferry and boats that will be stronger and will be storm resistant. And they'll have the look that I think is everyone's favorite model, the Kennedy class. So we'll be building 3 more in that class. Now, with every new ferry boat, of course, there's an opportunity to bestow a name. And the names that have graced these vessels over the years are not ordinary names by any stretch of the imagination. They're names of great men and women who have done great things for this borough and even for our entire nation. And today, we add to that roster of great Staten Islanders and great Americans whose names are seen every day floating by us in the harbor, floating by the Statue of Liberty, names that make us remember what's good, what's right, the way we all should live. I'm proud to announce that in 2019 there will be a brand new Staten Island Ferry plying the waters of this harbor, and it will be named the Staff Sergeant Michael Ollis Staten Island Ferry. Sergeant Michael Ollis, U.S. Army, 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment, 1st Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division. Was a proud son of this great borough. It has been an honor for me today to spend time with Linda and Robert Ollis. I have to tell you, we talked about their son, the way they brought him up, his values, what he wanted to devote his life to, and it was so moving and humbling because these parents did everything right, and it sure showed in their son. He was so devoted to his country. He was willing to put his life on the line more than once. He kept coming back to serve at the front in conflicts overseas. He was committed to the U.S. Army. He was committed to his fellow soldiers. But that was, I think, from what I've heard, simply an extension on something that was clear earlier in his life. His care for others, his care for his fellow human beings. His love of his nation, his love of his neighbors, his love of his family all came together into an intense sense of commitment. And it's clear that whatever he did, wherever he went, others were inspired by his leadership and his actions. This was an extraordinary young man. And we lost him way too soon, but his deeds, his example continue to show people the right way. And starting again, 2019, his name will be seen every single day in this city and in this borough as a reminder and as an inspiration to us all. Linda, Robert, you did a hell of a job. You were great parents and are great parents, and I want to commend you for bringing up your young man the right way, with the right values, and a wonderful, loving home with your daughters Kimberly and Kelly as well. A warm, tight-knit family in New Dorp, all of whom shared a bond. And this is a day we also celebrate this whole family and all they've done for all of us. Michael was eager to join the Army. Eager is the right word. He wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. His father served in Vietnam. His grandfathers served in the Army in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. And Michael seemed destined for it. First running around in his yard in his father's old fatigues when he was a child, then joining the Air Force ROTC when he arrived at Patrides High School. And then as soon as he turned 17, enlisting in the Army, his dream becoming real. Over the next few years, he would serve with distinction during multiple deployments in Kuwait, Iraq, and Afghanistan. He was very smart. He was exceptionally dedicated. His capacity for leadership was both obvious and extraordinary. His fearlessness was respected by all. And at the same time, he was profoundly compassionate. We were talking about the way he thought about the people who lived in the nations in which he served. And it was very striking how he maintained his compassion despite the pain of war that surged all around him. Just a few weeks before we lost him, he was awarded the Bronze Star, just like his father had been before. Ultimately, Sergeant Ollis proved himself the greatest kind of hero. On August 28, 2013, that day, insurgents attacked his base in Afghanistan. Sergeant Ollis ran toward the danger, throwing himself in front of a suicide bomber to save a fellow soldier. A Polish soldier, in fact, who would later name his own child after Michael. Michael was only 24 years old, and I can say personally that strikes a chord deeply with me because my own children, Kiara and Dante, are just a few years younger than that. And I can't imagine life without them, and I am so moved by this family's ability to take the pain they have felt, but continue all the good that was Michael's way and spread the message of what his life was about. And again, being an example to all of us, this great, strong family. Now, no doubt, they have drawn some additional strength from the outpouring of love and support from the people of Staten Island, and it has been absolutely tremendous. And Michael's service has been recognized, and his sacrifice has been recognized in so many ways, including recognition with the Silver Star, the Purple Heart, the Audie Murphy Medallion, and from the Polish Army, their Gold Medal. It was another great man, another decorated war hero, and another Ferry namesake, President John F. Kennedy, who said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors, the men it remembers." Today, we honor and remember a man who gave everything for his nation and who embodied the very best of our city. I am proud that Sergeant Michael Ollis's name will be enshrined on such a powerful symbol of the borough and the city he loved. Sergeant Ollis's infantry regiment's motto is, quote, "Deeds, not words." It's my profound hope that this small deed today conveys our gratitude for Sergeant Ollis's great deeds. And as the son of an Army veteran myself, I've seen firsthand how much the members of our service give to our nation and the consequences of their service. Let this be a moment when we thank all of them as well. Let's thank all the members of our armed forces and all those who have served for the deeds they have done to protect all of us. I salute the memory of Michael Alice, and I salute all the brave veterans who call this great city home. Just a couple of words in Spanish. Estamos reemplazando 3 ferries de Staten Island con otros nuevos y mejores. Hoy me complace anunciar que uno de ellos llevará el nombre del sargento Michael Alice, un héroe de Staten Island que murió en combate y representa lo mejor de nuestra ciudad. With that, I want to bring forward a man who really put his heart and soul into the work of making sure that this brave man was honored. It was a passion for the borough president. And when he talked to me about it, it transcended any of the other kinds of conversations we have. And I could hear it was straight from his heart. Borough President of Staten Island, Jimmy Otto.
In May of 2014, my staff told me that there is a custom during Fleet Week for the captain or the commander of the vessel that's docked at the Staten Island home port to pay a captain's call on the Staten Island Borough President. And it was explained to me that it was a sort of meet and greet. Being hardwired the way I am, I'm not terribly good at the ceremonial aspects of this job. And when you combine that with a discernible sense of inadequacy that I feel when I'm ever in the company of someone who has served, I wasn't really thrilled about the event, and I let my staff know that. It turns out that that captain's call happened on the same day that we had our first Veterans Roundtable, where we brought veterans of different ages together at Borough Hall. Included in that event was Bob Alice. And the meeting went well. It went so well that it ran long. And my now friend, Commander Dennis Farrell, then of the USS Cole, arrived, and we decided to introduce the active members of the service with some of their fellow service people who had retired. And we sat in a circle in my office in Borough Hall, and these great Americans started telling stories. And Mr. Alice began to tell a story, and he got to the part that dealt with his son, and he simply said that we had a loss in the family. And without really thinking about it too much, I said, tell him. Tell Commander Farrell. And Mr. Alice began to explain the circumstances and how we lost his son, and became overcome with emotion relatively quickly. And I had this instant moment of regret that I had put this in motion. And with a lot of courage, he composed himself. And with each word that he uttered, you could see the pride coming out of him. This is a really meaningful moment for the Alice family. We have a perpetual reminder of the selflessness and the heroism of the son that they raised. And it's a reminder for the rest of us that in big ways and in small, we got to be about something bigger than ourselves. And we honor him. We honor the men and women, 9 or so, that have perished and been taken from us in those wars. We honor every man and woman who's put on a uniform in service of this country. My father willed himself in 2013 to see election night. He stood up on one leg for the entire night, beaming with pride, and that was for a crappy little election. This is so powerful for this family who has been through so much. And I am so grateful that they have this moment. I wanted Bob and Linda to be here, and they're going to be with us for a while, but I wanted to make sure that they had this moment. So I am so indebted, so appreciative to Bill de Blasio for doing this. And I appreciate everybody on his staff that helped us get to this day. Commissioner Trottenberg, General, thank you so much. To Emma Wolf, to Mike Deloche, to Avi Fink, wherever he is, who got calls from my chief of staff every other week. Thank you for this. When a child predeceases a parent, it's unnatural and it's unfair, and I can only guess the pain. But I do know it stays with you always. I never had to think about this concept till I took this job, and then it was drilled home on 9/11. And that pain will be with Linda and Bob, but they have so much courage and so much grace. I'm just so appreciative that they have this honor and can revel in this moment of pride. So, Linda, Bob, you are loved by this community. You spend 10 minutes with you guys, and it's pretty clear why your son became the man he was. I hope you find a small measure of comfort in this. And Staten Island loves you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Bob, Linda, I think it would be a tremendous honor for all of us to hear from you now.
Big chicken. This is quite amazing. Since the death of our son, we were just showered with kindness and well-wishers. We thought going to Poland last year was exciting. I don't know. Today is pretty damn exciting today. I didn't expect this so soon and so fast. And when I got the call from the borough president yesterday, I was standing in front of a bank talking to 3 priests. Thank you. I'm not saying they helped, but something, you know. But anyway, I'd like to thank the mayor for taking this into consideration and, you know, being recently elected, just take over this thing for Staten Island, for Bob and Linda Alice, and looking at it and saying, oh, okay, wow, you're right. Maybe this is what we should do. I thank the commissioner of the Department of Transportation for also jumping in and looking at it and saying that let's do this for the family of Staff Sergeant Michael Alice. But the biggest thank you I want to give is to our borough president, Jimmy Otto. I met Jimmy Otto right after his dad had passed at a Little League field that he was there to throw the first pitch out. And I had to apologize to him afterwards. I didn't say to him condolence on his father But the first words out of his mouth after, we're going to name this ferry after your son. So I don't want the ferry. We're going to do it for Michael, which I thought was, wow, this is pretty neat, but I didn't know. And then when our senator kind of said, we're going to do James Molinari, it kind of sunk our ship. We thought, well, that's the end of that. And I met Jimmy at a function, and joking with him, I said, you know, if there's two votes, I'll vote for yours if you vote for mine. And he, being the gentleman that he is, said to me, no, this is all Michael. I don't want it, it's Michael's. And when Senator Schumer, he said basically the same thing once he realized the importance of this to Linda and I, he said he would support it. So I thank him, I thank James, I thank God, but I thank my wife for being here to hold me up all the time. There's a lot of times I miss Michael so bad that it hurts. And she holds me up. I thank the borough of Staten Island, especially Burbank Avenue. Burbank Avenue, I want to tell you, if you buy a piece of Burbank Avenue, a house there, it's worth $1 million, only because of the neighbors that you have. All you had to do was be there Sunday afternoon watching us dig out of the snow. And it became more of fun and everybody helping each other, clearing the street, and it just helping one another and have some fun and offering each other coffee and other beverages I won't get into. And I'm just full of so much thanks right now that I'm tripping all over my words.
You're doing good.
And but Jimmy, I love you. You've done such a great job. But there's a very, very important person standing in the line here. The general. Since we met, we've become such great friends. If I was to serve under Laurie Sutton, Brigadier General Laurie Sutton, I'd still be at 68 years old, I'd still be in the service. That's what kind of we are so lucky in the city of New York that we have a veterans commissioner as good as her. And there isn't a time that doesn't go by that she picks up the phone and says, Bobby, it's me, Laurie, and whatever the situation is. And she knows that Staten Island has her back tremendously because I'm not the only one, but all of Staten Island loves you. Okay? Thank you. And I think I talked myself, I think my time is up. Yes.
I think one person has to be mentioned.
Let's let Linda have equal
ahead.
time. Hold on, let me give you some
Okay,
more.
well-
Look, hold on, one step, because we have a step here for you, Linda. Hold on, look at this.
I'm not going to talk that long.
Now go ahead up.
There's one person that I want to mention, a Staten Islander who got on board with this and got a lot of signatures to help this thing get going. Her name is Anita Selleck, and she started a petition on change.org. She got over, I think, 5,000 signatures from Staten Islanders and many other people, and I just wanted to say thank you to her because she's been a great inspiration, and she really thought that this was going to happen, and I think in some way she made it happen. So thank you, Anita, and thank you, everyone here.
Thank you. Well done. So we're going to first take questions about this wonderful announcement today. Now, the Alice has presented me with something I'm going to cherish, and I'm going to wear it now for this special occasion while we take these questions, because this is what a little indicator of the name that's going to be on the side of a ferry boat soon. So it's my honor to wear it. Any questions on the announcement we're making today? We'll do other questions in a moment, but questions on today's announcement.
Yeah, I was just curious. You mentioned that the Kennedy boat would be the class, so the class name is going to be Kennedy. It's going to continue, or
No, that means it's just the type of the design of the boat. Yeah.
I mean, is the class going to be the Alice class of ferries, and then, or is it going to be?
Let Polly or your colleagues come over. Come on over. Yes. Let the expert.
Yeah. Typically, the class is named after the first vessel of the class, so I would say that at this point, we'll see that the paperwork is all changed, and it'll say Alice class instead of 4,500.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He went to the head of the class. Okay, questions on this announcement? Any other questions? Wait, over here first.
We could hear from Mr. Alice. You talked about how exciting this is, but what does this mean to you, and what do you think Michael would think of this?
Well, first of all, I'm going to answer your second part first. If Michael could reach down from heaven, he'd be rapping me in the back of the head saying, "Why are you making such a big deal? I didn't do anything." That would be Michael's feelings on it. But for Linda and I, it makes Michael's memory still alive. And that's what we're pushing for, to keep his name alive. I have a problem with being a Vietnam vet. I've lost so many people whose names just disappeared. And when Michael passed, I refused to let that happen. And as long as I live, and I'm going to say as long as his sisters live, we're going to push Michael's name. Michael's name is going to be out there. You're going to see it just to honor him, to honor what a person he was. Okay?
Amen. Yes.
There's two more ferries that have yet to be named, and I know that you guys are still considering people. There's only ever been one ferry named for a woman. Is that something that you guys are going to think about when you come try to figure out what the?
We're going to think about a lot of things. I mean, this was something was obviously very important to do, to honor a great man, but obviously very important to a lot of people on Staten Island, that we named this ferry for Michael Alice. But we're going to start the process in terms of the others, and we're going to think about a lot of different factors as we do that. Yes.
The name will be on the ferry. Will there be anything in the terminal or in the ferry that tells us a little bit about who he is, so that people can understand what the name means?
If you know, or come on over. Come on over.
Let's go around the back. There will be a builder's plate on board, but now since you raised the question, given the individual, we would probably look to the family to put something like that on board. There's a little, narrative about people when they're named, so we would certainly look to them to help us with that. Yep.
Good. No worries. Okay. Anybody else on this announcement? Yes.
This one will hit the water, so to speak, in 2019.
Right. So they're going to go out to bid to find a shipbuilder who will build it, and then it'll be completed, and then it'll go into service in 2019.
What are the other two scheduled to go out as well?
Hold on. I'll give you a little extra height. There you go.
Second one will also be 2019, third vessel 2020. That's the timetable now.
Not that familiar with ferries. Is it going to have the deck? I know that some of them have the deck on the side or in the back, or is there a design for it, for where the deck would be?
Maybe we'll have Jim come up and talk. And we're still, just so you all know, we're still finalizing the last bits of the design. But I don't know, Jim, if you want to talk about the decks in particular.
You can have that if you want. Yeah, you can have whatever you want.
We are pretty much finished with the design. The American Bureau of Shipping is currently approving it. And we have had a tremendous amount of public outreach. We had passenger preference surveys conducted. As many of you know, we had seats over in Whitehall. We get a lot of feedback. And so we think we have come up with something that really incorporates what the traveling public, people of Staten Island, are looking for, and at the same time serves the purpose. So we think we have plenty of open decks, outdoor decks on it, and a lot of other features that people have been asking for. So I think we have a pretty good design here. Right.
Yes, go ahead, Anne.
One of the things I hear a lot from riders is that they want in the ladies' bathrooms, they're used on some of the older classes of ferries, there are makeup stations. Is that something you guys might bring back?
We'll look at that. We're not quite to the detail of that yet. But, I mean, it's something we'll look at. Space is everything. Everything you put on the boat, you deduct the number of passengers. So that's always, sort of one of these balancing things.
Okay. Last call, yes.
Mayor, this was obviously something that had a lot of support on Staten Island for this particular name, but for the remaining two boats and their names, I know you said you'll be looking at that. Can you give us any sense of what that process will be like, or what you expect to go into picking the name of the ferry?
I think it's obviously a very individualized process. We don't have a matrix we use or anything like that. We try and listen to what people in the borough are feeling. We try and look at different examples of people worthy. I think if there is an example anywhere of a consensus name, it was Michael Alice. I think a lot of people felt strongly and rightfully that he was an example of the borough that sort of beyond compare, and that it was very important to honor him, to honor this family, to keep that name alive. So we'll look at a lot of different things, but I think this one was really the right thing to do. Yes, please, we'll finish up here.
What was that plate you all were saying?
The plate. Jimmy, you want to show the plate now that you've... Jimmy Otto has a mysterious plate. What is it, Jimmy?
This is a plate that apparently Borough President Molinaro received in April 14, 2004, from Nicole O'Donnell. Man, I need glasses.
Nicole O'Donnell.
Created by...
And Fran Daly.
We can't forget Fran. Paint Your Own Ceramic Studio, 332 New York Lane, Staten Island, New York. 7189. You got to plug small businesses, people. The mayor taught me that when we were in the council. Always stay on message. 718-979-1841. Anyway, this is in Borough Hall in my deputy chief of staff's office, and we pass it every day. And we were sitting, having a little staff meeting at the end of the day, and I looked up and I said, "Grab that. This is we can get it signed." So I got it signed by the mayor, the general, Commissioner Trottenberg, and Bob and Linda, and we'll keep it at Borough Hall for a subsequent. Everybody want to get in?
Yeah, come on.
Get in and play. I always bring the visuals, apparently.
So they can get it.
Never knew the plate was going to be a big hit.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Everyone's got to see the plate.
Show them the piece of cake. Who was it behind the door? Show them the cake.
Don't quote the Godfather. Jimmy, you're off message. Okay. Got it? Thank you, everyone.
All right, there's the plate.
Thank you. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We can turn to other topics now. Questions on other topics. Marcia.
Mr. Mayor, a homeless man was killed in a shelter last night, almost decapitated by a man with a knife who subsequently got away. I wonder what this says about security in the shelter, that despite a metal detector and wands, that this man was able to get a knife in so sharp that he nearly decapitated a man.
It's deeply disturbing. We will get this perpetrator. We know exactly who he is. I have no doubt the NYPD will get him and get him soon. and justice will be served. But no, it's very disturbing. You're exactly right. This was a shelter that had metal detectors, that had its own private security, that had all the things that we need to make sure shelters are safe. Something went wrong. We're going to do a full investigation to find out how this was possible. But we're very committed going forward in that shelter and every other shelter to making sure they have whatever it takes, the technology, the personnel to keep people safe. But this is very disturbing, and we're going to get down to the bottom of it. Please.
That shelter is in the same building as a head shop that until a few weeks ago was selling K2 and other things and continues to sell paraphernalia. Do you think that the accessibility of K2 and things like that to people in that shelter who already have mental health issues?
I don't want to conjecture at all on that. K2 is obviously a very troubling drug, and I have to say the City of New York has been very fast to act. I commend the City Council for passing a law that gave us a lot more enforcement power. NYPD has done an extraordinary job going after stores that were selling K2. We've really disrupted a lot of the K2 reality. There's more to do. But I don't want to comment on that building until I know more. There's no question, again, we are going to focus on shelter security and continue to put in whatever it takes to get it right.
Should the shelter be in the same building as a head shop?
Again, I'm going to be careful because I don't know the circumstances. I want to make sure the shelters are safe for everyone involved.
Central Park Conservancy has raised a number of concerns about the plan for the horse stables, saying that moving the horses between the new stables and where they operate is going to be a bother to other users of the park, among other things. Is anything being done to address their concerns?
Well, we've been working with the Conservancy throughout this process. There was a rumor that the Traverse was going to be used for moving horse carriages. That's not true. The movement of horse carriages, again, is going to be off of streets that are used by vehicles, off of the streets of Midtown Manhattan, into the park proper. And I think that's going to make us all safer. I think it's going to reduce congestion. But we've been working with the Conservancy to make this plan work well, and I think we'll find that, remember, it's going to be fewer horses and carriages than in the past, and we're going to find, I think, that it works a lot better than the current system. Yes?
You're going to be missing Groundhog Day on Staten
I
Island.
will, yes.
For the safety of the groundhog, I mean...
I think if there were a groundhog union, they would ask me to miss Groundhog Day. There's no question about it. If they were taking a vote, I would not be invited to Groundhog Day. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, can you give us some more details about your trip to Iowa, what your strategy is going to be there, and if you have any specific items on your agenda for the week?
Well, that's all in the hands of the Clinton campaign staff in Iowa. What I simply said to the campaign is I want to help and serve in any way I can. I happen to have been out there campaigning in previous cycles, so I know a lot about the caucus process for someone who doesn't come from there. And that I wanted to work. I wanted to do whatever they wanted, knock on doors or make phone calls or rally the troops, whatever would be helpful. So that they've set together, I think, a pretty aggressive schedule of actually working to help them turn out the vote. And look, this is going to be a pivotal moment for our nation and certainly for New York City. I would like to see the next President of the United States come from New York State. And I would like that next president to be Hillary Rodham Clinton. I think that could be not only the best thing for this entire nation, but for New York City. I think it would be tremendous to have a president who understands our needs and will be someone we can work with so closely. So I'm very excited to have a chance to go and support her effort.
Is there nothing you can tell us, sir, about what sorts of rallies you might be attending, who you'll be with, whether you'll be with...
No, again, the campaign team for the Clinton campaign out in Iowa was putting it together, but I'll do anything and everything they want, and I'll go wherever they need me to go.
Do you have any information about the shooting this morning involving a New York City cop and robbery attempt?
I've only heard very initially that it was involving a robbery and that the officer, thank God, is safe and okay, but we'll have a lot more to say on that in the coming hours.
I just want to ask a follow-up to Aaron's question.
Yeah.
On the Central Park Conservancy, were you, during the negotiations over the details of the horse carriage bill, they were involved with...
As I said, not me personally. Let me be clear. I'm speaking very clearly here. The Conservancy had been in discussions. Remember, the council was very involved in this discussion. Obviously, members of my team and the Conservancy was certainly consulted. That's not saying that they agree with every single piece of it, but they certainly were consulted throughout the process.
They should have had a larger role, given the large role that they played in
No, I'm very comfortable that their role was appropriate. Remember, the park belongs to the people of New York City. We ultimately have to make decisions about the park. The Conservancy provides a lot, but the park belongs to the people, and those decisions are made by the City Council and the mayor. Jillian?
Mayor, going back to Iowa, I'm just curious, you've been there before.
Yes.
In this cycle, so to speak, I guess. And I'm curious what you think, how well known you are to the people of Iowa. Are you?
I have no idea. No, I support all the candidates have been going in, speaking on behalf of their candidates. I'm someone who obviously used to do this work, so I'm happy to do more than just going to a few. Look, as you know, for the last few weeks, a number of leaders from around the country have opportunities. I'm sure I'll do some of that too. But I just want to help in every way I can, and I think it's absolutely a pivotal moment. So it's, I think, more about that I'm happy to go out there and roll up my sleeves and just work in any way that's helpful to the campaign. Yes?
Going to your testimony in Albany, do you think that the discussion of property taxes was perhaps used as a distraction to take away from whatever conversation should be had on Medicaid, potential cuts to Medicaid?
I think we need to fully understand that the cuts to Medicaid fiscal year, and then just on the Medicaid piece alone, will go to over $1 billion alone by fiscal 21. I said in Albany, the governor has given an assurance aid in CUNY would amount to almost $1 billion right away. It won't cost New York City a penny. I appreciate that assurance, and I will hold them to it. So I do think it's an issue that has to be looked at carefully, and that we all have to make sure that things work out as have been pledged. I think there are a number of other important issues that I talked about in my testimony involving how we keep this city moving forward, affordable housing, education, et cetera. So there were issues that probably didn't get the time they deserve, and that one I think got a lot of time, but I think honestly it's a non-starter. I'm quoting the Speaker of the State Assembly. I think that cap would be very dangerous for New York City. I know the Speaker of the City Council feels the same way. We're all united. And I remind you of the historical parallel of what happened with Proposition 13 in California, which I think history has shown fundamentally set back the people of California in many ways. So that kind of cap is not appropriate for New York City. It's not the way we're going to stay safe. It's not the way we're going to be able to build our economy, et cetera. Yes?
On topic, when was the last time you rode the ferry?
The last time I rode the ferry, I remember riding the ferry with Karen Hinton. Remember Karen Hinton? That wasn't so long ago. Sometime in the last 5 months, 4 or 5 months, we will get you a date. It was after the thing. Is that what you said, Anna? Yeah. It was after the thing.
It was after the Family Justice Center opened.
That's right. What day was that?
I believe that was the first day of November or October.
Thank you, Anna, for that informative presentation. Okay, wait. Let's go.
Given the number of slashings lately,
Yeah.
how concerned are you, in particular this week? And is there anything you're doing with the police department to crack down on that?
Absolutely. NYPD is doing an amazing job right now. Commissioner has already given you a preview of what will be talked about next week. This month of January has been outstanding in terms of reducing violence, reducing shootings, reducing murders. The important thing is that this overall strategy is working. We know there's always going to be areas we have to focus on more. So shootings have gone down, thank God, but we've seen a spate of slashings. We're going to put more and more resources on stopping them. Thank God the one the other day, the woman who was the victim is okay, has gone back to work. But anytime we see that kind of trend, we throw police resources at it. And this year, I'm happy to say, in 2016, we will have 2,000 more officers on the beat, and that's going to help us get at this problem quickly and stop any of these trends. But overall, NYPD is doing a remarkable job.
Sir, there was an environmental impact review commissioned on the horse carriages. Do you know when those results will be expected? I understand that Ms. Tarlow said they would come before the council votes.
I don't know the specifics of the review process, but we can get you that answer for sure. Finally.
So, Mayor, in a pending book, Mark Green is critical of your treatment of his brother. He claims that in one election you disparaged his brother, and then in the next one you sought money from him.
Yeah, I don't know what he's specific. I haven't seen that, so I don't know what he's referring to. Thanks, everyone.